When you think of the NBA playoffs, you think of iconic buzzer beaters, historic comebacks, and elite play from some of the greatest players of all time. And luckily for us, this year's playoffs features a multitude of stars, both past and present, that have and will perform at the highest level. So today, I'm going to rank the top 10 players in the playoffs based on their performance so far through the first round. And as a note of clarification, stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo and anyone else who has not played a second of playoff action will not be featured on this list, as they haven't played in the playoffs yet. And before we get started, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as we're on the road to 500 subscribers. It would be greatly appreciated and help recommend this type of content to NBA fans like you. So leave a like and subscribe, and let's start out by talking about the number 10 spot on this list, Damian Lillard. Lillard single-handedly won the Bucks their first and only game so far in their series against the Pacers with 35 first-half points in Game 1. And while Milwaukee hasn't won a game since, Lillard was phenomenal in losing efforts before going down with an Achilles injury that will likely take him out for the rest of this series. But despite seeing some classic Damian Lillard moments, he, along with the rest of the starting five from Milwaukee, feel like the only guys who want to go out there and win. The funny thing about Lillard's production these past 3 games has been that he actually thrives when the ball is in his hands for long periods of time, and when he's completely smothered when he's taking the shot. It makes sense that Lillard thrives in this style of basketball, as that's how he's been playing his entire career. But seeing his success in these playoffs make me wonder how his future in Milwaukee will look when Giannis comes back, as he's obviously not going to have the same amount of time with the ball or isolation attempts. But without Giannis, this playoff run has proven to many, including myself, that Dame still has what it takes to be an elite player in this league. I just don't know if he's capable of consistently being that guy in Milwaukee. At number 9, we're staying out east and talking about the best player on the best team, and that's Jason Tatum. Tatum hasn't done anything spectacular so far through these playoffs, but I'm going to cut him a little slack because he's playing Erik Spoelstra and the Heat, who have matched up with this team for the past 5 years in the playoffs. Instead, what I'd like to focus on here with Tatum is how he's been playing a more all-around role rather than being that primary scoring option. We all know the Celtics have a lot of scoring weapons, and it would be easy to leave Tatum off this list because his counting stats don't look great. But what I love looking at with Tatum is his passing charts, which show that his playmaking has been a key factor for Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, Derek White, even Peyton Pritchard, as all of those guys shoot over 50% from the field when Tatum sets them up with a pass. And on the defensive side of the ball, Tatum has been outstanding on the perimeter, limiting opponents to 36% shooting from the field when he's defending them from 15 feet from the basket. It's small things like this that make me hopeful that when Tatum's shots start falling, that he could climb up this list and maybe lead the Celtics to their second finals appearance in the Tatum and Brown era. The number 8 spot is going to a player who's been one of the most impactful people in the playoffs so far, and that's Jalen Brunson. What holds Brunson back from being higher on this list are his first 2 subpar games, but since then he's been magnificent. And the sole reason why he gets the nod over Lillard and Tatum is because of his otherworldly Game 4, where he put up 47 points and 10 assists to give the Knicks the win. And what props his game up even more is how high stakes the game was. If the Knicks lost, they'd lose that 2-0 lead they built and have to travel back to New York with the Sixers having all the momentum. But instead, they now need to win just one of the next 3 games to advance to the second round, and that's all thanks to Brunson. But what makes his playoff performances so special is that, like Dame, Brunson is missing his co-star in Randall and is forced to create shots not only for himself, but for his teammates as well. And as a result, 81.1% of Brunson's shots come when he takes more than 3 dribbles in a possession. And even with his impressive offensive performances, Brunson has been incredible on the defensive side of the ball as well, as when he's guarding Tyrese Maxey is shooting 3 for 16 from the field. Brunson has already been one of the best parts of one of the best playoff series so far, and if the Knicks can get the job done against the Sixers, expect him to rise to a top 5 position in this list. For number 7, we're going out west and looking at Kyrie Irving, who has been absolutely incredible as the second option on a Mavericks team that is tied up 2-2 with the Clippers. What has made Irving so special is his ability to adapt when needed. In Game 4, it was clear that Luka Doncic was just a little bit off, and the Mavs needed Kyrie to be the first option. And in that situation, Kyrie delivered. And in Game 2, when Luka was on fire and the Mavs needed Kyrie as a second option and reliable spot-up shooter, he did just that, and hit some timely shots to secure the victory. And that's what makes this version of Kyrie just so fun to watch. Since the 2016 finals run, Kyrie's career has been full of a lot of down moments, from his time with the Celtics, to his injuries and suspension with the Nets, to a tough couple first months with the Mavericks last season. But for the first time in 8 years, it finally feels like Kyrie belongs and has found a role on a team that plays to his strengths. And because of that, he's played some of the most impactful basketball of his career. And even when he's guarded by great defenders like Paul George and Terrence Mann, Kyrie always finds a way to get it done. The Clippers-Mavericks series is tied 2-2, but if Kyrie can continue to play this way, it'll be hard to pick against Dallas to advance. We're going to stay out west for the number 6 spot and talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just advanced to the second round after sweeping the Pelicans. SGA, like Tatum, hasn't been playing up a level, but more so on the level he's been playing this entire season. The one thing that hasn't really translated is the shooting percentages, as if you take away his massive Game 2 performance, he shot below 40% from the field in 2 of the 3 games, and below 25% from 3 in all of those games. However, the one thing that makes me optimistic towards SGA's performance in the second round is his separation numbers, as despite playing one of the toughest defense in the league in New Orleans, 59.5% of his shots were classified as open. And if the Thunder match up against a team like the Mavericks, who are struggling at times with the Clippers without Kawhi, I can't imagine what SGA will do to them. But overall, for it being his first playoff series as the number 1 guy, I thought he performed excellently, and I'm curious to see how he'll perform in the upcoming rounds. And now into my top 5, where we're going to go into the performances of a second Maverick, that being Luka Doncic. We all know Luka as a playoff riser, with iconic performances against the Suns in the 2022 playoffs and the Clippers in the bubble. And in 2024, Luka, like many of his counterparts, is struggling in the efficiency aspect of the game. But what gives him a slight edge over SGA to enter the top 5 is his excellent defense. It feels somewhat wrong to say that Luka is a better defender than SGA, but this postseason, Luka has been one of the best perimeter defenders I've seen, as he's holding opponents to 38.6% shooting from the field and 34.8% shooting from twos. And on the offensive side of the ball, Luka is still putting up almost 30 a game, but what I'd like to see is an improvement on the pull-up jumpers, which normally is his bread and butter, but in the playoffs, he's shooting 36.4% from the field on those shots. Also, what I'd like to see Luka do more of is hunt the mismatch. The primary defender on Luka is Terrence Mann, and through these last 4 games, Mann has held Doncic to 6 of 26 shooting. If Luka can attack and try to force a switch, I have complete confidence that he will continue to dominate the game. Let's move on to number 4 now, where we will see Anthony Edwards enter the list. Edwards was outstanding in the Timberwolves' first round, where they swept the Suns. What makes his performance so impressive is that he got the job done through a lot of possessions where he takes more than 7 dribbles and has the ball for more than 6 seconds, as he shoots 57% from the field and 50% from 3 on those attempts. And while that Phoenix defense was far from being a lockdown defense, it's impressive that the 22-year-old Edwards completely shut down a team with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And like the great players above him, Edwards has been a lockdown perimeter defender, holding opponents to 44.4% shooting from the field and 34% shooting from beyond 15 feet. Edwards is playing at a pace seen in NBA history by only the elite of the elite, like Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, and dare I say, Michael Jordan. The question is, can he keep this up against the defending champs in the next round? Now on to the top 3, and for this selection, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and talk about a guy who was eliminated last night, and that's Anthony Davis. This video just wouldn't be right if I didn't talk about how incredible AD was in his series against the Nuggets. Because even though his supporting cast didn't show up, AD almost single-handedly kept the Lakers in some of their games because of his elite post play. Davis averaged 28 points and 16 boards a night while shooting 63.4% from the field. And while all the guys above him thrived in the isolation game, Davis unsurprisingly dominated the opposition within 10 feet of the basket and while holding the ball for less than 2 seconds. What makes it even more impressive is that 53.5% of his shot attempts are when an opponent is within 4 feet of him, yet he shoots over 65% on those shots. It's a shame we won't see any more playoff basketball from Davis, but if he's back with the Lakers next season, I have no doubt he will continue to dominate as he did this series. For the number 2 spot, I decided to go with Joel Embiid here. Embiid has certainly had his struggles this playoff run, but I'm cutting him some slack due to the injuries he's going through, and instead, I'm going to focus on how incredible it is that he's putting up 35 a game when it's clear he's not close to 100%. One clear sign of his injury is his lack of dominance in the paint, as while he shot 64% on shots within 10 feet of the basket in the regular season, he's only shooting 50% on those shots in the playoffs. Where he's playing up in the playoffs though are on his catch and shoot opportunities, as he's shooting a staggering 41.7% on catch and shoot 3-point attempts. But on defense, Embiid is playing at an elite level as always, holding opponents to 40% shooting from within 6 feet of the rim. And overall, when Embiid gets switched onto Jalen Brunson, he holds him to 39.5% shooting from the field and 16.7% shooting from 3. It's extremely impressive how Embiid is still playing so great despite being injured. And maybe the biggest what if from these entire playoffs will be regarding Embiid's health, as if he were fully healthy, maybe the Sixers could give the Knicks a run for their money. But at number 1, I of course have Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets probably got the worst draw out of any Western Conference team by having to face the LA Lakers in the first round. And while Denver held LA's number from last season, it's not easy to put away LeBron and AD in a 7-game series. But with the elite play of Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets put LA away in 5 and will move on to the second round to take on the Timberwolves. What makes Jokic the best player in the world is that even when he's having an off night, he's still controlling the game at a level above everyone else. Just look at the Lakers series, where his worst game was probably Game 5. But even there, he put up 25 points, grabbed 20 boards, and got 9 assists. We haven't seen this type of all-around dominance in years, and if Jokic can win back-to-back titles, we're about to have some very interesting conversations about where he ranks all time. The NBA is full of elite talent, and there's a million ways this list could have been ranked, so comment below what you would have changed about this list. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to watch more NBA videos just like this one. So with that, I'm Julian with Talkback Sports, and I'll see you next time.